Hey everybody, it is our annual Toys for Tots fundraiser for the holidays. For more information on that or to make a donation, check out the coffee page, link above my head. Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. So once again, I would like to thank everybody that has been leaving interactions on the videos. Leaving likes, commenting on it. I really appreciate that. It really helps the channel out. It is the easiest, fastest way to help out the channel. I greatly appreciate it because the subscriber count continues to climb, views continue to increase. Thank you very much for all of that. Also, please remember that this is the fall season, this is the Thanksgiving season, this is the season of our Toys for Tots fundraiser. You can donate either by going there to my coffee page and donating that way, or you can click on the thanks button below, and any donations made that way I will carry over to the fundraiser over on the coffee page. Now, the reason why you are here, today we are taking a look at Big Bad Workshop, Fresh Monkey Fiction, Operation Monster Force, General Brown. Now, for whatever reason, Operation Monster Force just isn't really doing it for me, which is very bizarre when you consider that, one, I am a huge fan of the Universal Monsters, and two, if you've been involved in the channel at all over the past couple years, you know I am a huge fan of G.I. Joe, so you would think this would be right in my wheelhouse, but for some reason, it's just really not doing it for me. However, there are some figures that I'm sort of picking and choosing, and this one is one of them, and you will see why once we get it open. Now, what we have is a very premium package that we've seen with Operation Monster Force before, because there is one other figure that I've taken a look at, link to that right there. And I was impressed with the packaging then, I'm impressed with the packaging now, that it has like this sort of satin finish to it. Also, the flap is magnetic. There are metal bits in here, like there's a metal disc there, and I think there's another one down here that, there, I think you heard that. You can see them poking through the cover right there, that it is impressive, the packaging. Here we have our window where you can see the figure, you can see some of the accessories, mostly the head portraits, optional hands, and you can see some more accessories packed in the bag behind our General Brown. And then over here we have our comic page that tells you a little bit about the character that's in the box. I don't have the Operation Monster Force comic. I think there's a trade paperback that's available. I'm assuming this is actually a page lifted from that trade paperback. I don't know 100% certain for that, but I think this is a really cool way of introducing the figure to people who may not have any insight as to who he, or rather they, are. On the side, we just have Operation Monster Force, General Brown. Over here, we have the cross-sell for all of the other ones, all the other figures that were part of this wave, or this season, as they call them. And we have a little bit of a write-up right here. An ancient evil has emerged from Egyptian sands, leaving destruction in his wake. As his power grows, the government of the world sends their best soldiers to destroy him. General Brown deploys the Phantom Corps, an elite special ops unit used for rapid insertion during first hours of conflict. Instead of reading the whole thing, I will just bring it up here. You can go ahead, hit pause, and read that if you would like. On the other side, we just have General Brown once again. Up top, Monster Force, Big Bad Workshop, Fresh Monkey Fiction. On the bottom, we have this nonsense. So, without further ado, let's get this open, because for as plain as this figure might be compared to some of the other Operation Monster Force figures, I am very excited to get this open and take a look at Big Bad Workshop and Fresh Monkey Fiction, Operation Monster Force, General Brown. Okay, here he is, General Brown, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is 6 1/4 to the top of his head. First things first, I have to say that I think the Carl Weathers likeness was more apparent in the digital renders and the promotional photos than it is on the figure itself. And come on, let's admit it, this design, this face portrait was designed to look like Carl Weathers. Like maybe from here and the side, it has that resemblance, but head on, I think it kind of loses something maybe down here in the chin or the cheeks. I'm not really sure, but it's still a good face sculpt. And I actually like it a little bit better that it's an original and not aping, you know, somebody else. Now, having said that, the other face sculpts that we'll take a look at 100% are meant to look like other characters, which we'll talk about, and one of them is the reason that I got this figure in the first place. The design is spot on. I really like it. This is very tight. This is very clean looking, just like how you would expect a 4-star general to appear when he's in uniform. His nameplate isn't here, but we'll take a look at that in a moment as well. I like the brass buttons coming down the front. This whole chest of decorations right here, I dig that. That looks really cool. I also like the accommodations or the medals that he has. I do not know what all of these are, so I do not mean to insult anybody, but if anybody knows if any of this is based off of real ribbons, real awards, real medals, please, by all means, let me know. I'll even bring it up closer. You can pause and take a look at it if you want to. But like the slacks with that hem seam going right down the front, polished shoes, like there's wrinkle to the jacket, but wrinkles that like wouldn't be avoidable from somebody wearing a real piece of clothing. Even the back here looks like it was pressed very tight. Starched collar, very bright white, straight black tie. Love the whole appearance of this figure. Some people might think that it's a little boring, a little plain, but a character like this is exactly what you want from him. Now, like I said, the face sculpt I really appreciate. I really like, I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but I like the little touches of gray in the mustache and in the hair a little bit, giving him like sort of an aged warrior look to him. I really dig that. Now let's take a look at the articulation, that the head will do a full 360 spin, but you'll notice that the neck joint was spinning more than the head joint was. And the head will spin, but it's a little bit tighter than the neck joint, so that's why the neck joint will move on its own. Looking up, he can really look up. I wish he was a flying character. Looking down, once again, he can look at his shoes. That is great. A lot of the heavy lifting for looking down is done with the neck joint right there. Tilt side to side. He has a lot of it, once again, because there's a lot of travel in this neck joint. Now, arms will do a full 360 spin. There is no butterfly joint, but they will come up past 90 to there. There is a bicep swivel. You can hear that the joints are really tight right now. Out of the box like that. A double jointed elbow that closes in on itself very well. Wrists swivel. These ones hinge in and out on both hands. Now, he does have a weapon wielding hand, and I haven't looked at the hinge point on that yet, but we will take a look at that once we have the other hands on. Now, as far as I know, this is all, it seems like this is all a solid piece underneath this coat. The coat is glued all the way down the front. So unless I want to rip it apart, which I don't want to, I can't find like a crunch joint in there, but it does appear that there is a ball. Hey, there's even a belt up in there. I don't know if you can see that. But it does appear that there is a ball joint at the waist that will give us the twist side to side. Once again, very tight. You can hear that. And it gives you a little bit of crunch forward, a little bit of crunch back. Well, probably more back than forward. But there's not a whole lot of, wait, is there a... It doesn't feel like it, that there's anything going on at the mid-waist, like a crunch or anything. The legs will come forward to there. They will go out to the side to there, mainly aided by there being a slit's not even like at the hip. And they will go back that far. There is no thigh cut. You can see right here, there is no thigh cut, but there is a ball joint like in the crotch that gives you some twist to the leg right there. See how it turns out, and it can turn in, and it can come forward. The knees are the smoothest part. Double jointed knees close in that far. No boot cut, but there is a twist at the ankle. Once again, you can hear that. Ankles rock back that much. Ankles will rock forward that much, not really a lot. And there is a forward-facing pin for some rocker to them. I really like the sculpt. While we're down here, like, let's take a look at this. I really like the sculpt of his shoes. And I know that is a weird thing to draw attention to, but it has a real-world quality to it. You can see the laces all laced up right there. I think this looks really good. I like this bit of attention to detail right in here. Now, something else I wanted to draw attention to is the arms right here, because when I was playing around with this and I was trying to see if there was a butterfly joint, there was a little bit of movement in there. You can see right there, but that isn't really a butterfly joint per se. The arms come out really easily, and maybe there is a bit of a swivel in there. It's hard. Yeah, I think there is a bit of a butterfly in there, but the coat right here, this rubber, heavy rubber on the coat, really does limit the articulation. Also, you can see how easily that pops out. Some people will like that. Customizers, I think, will love that. I'm not particularly a fan of it. Also, whenever you put it back in, you can see that there's trenching visible, that you just have to sort of squeeze it back in there. Come on. Squeeze it back in to get it closed in. So out of the packaging, General Brown comes with a pair of C-grip hands. He comes with a pair of trigger finger hands, and these hands, the weapon-wielding hands, do hinge up and down. So I appreciate that the ones that are designed to hold his pistol will go up and down instead of in and out. He comes with a pair of clenched fists. He comes with a pair of karate chop hands, or rather saluting hands. And he comes with a singular pointing hand, and this hand hinges up and down as well. Now, one thing I do want to draw attention to, as this is only the second Operation Monster Force figure that I have, the hands actually swap out very easily. My issue is that look how shallow that peg is right there. They don't, at least on this figure, they don't really lock in very well. Like, listen. There's not a real good connection. There's not a real good pop. And you can see even now there is a looseness to it. Now, I'm not saying this hand is going to fall off, but if it starts this loose, it's only going to get looser, and I'm not really a fan of it being that loose. So now we're going to take a look at the accessories that he comes with before we take a look at the additional head portraits that he comes with. And the only weapon he comes with is this old school 1911 right here, which truthfully, no matter which version of General Brown you use, it suits him perfectly. And this is a fairly passable, this is actually, I shouldn't say passable, but this is a really decent sculpt for a 1911. I would have liked to have seen some paint apps thrown on this, maybe like a wood grain on the handle right there, instead of just being like a completely black piece of plastic, but it does look good. Also, you can see that there is a hole up front that it can take. Where did I put it? Give me 1 second to find. Here we go. It can take standard blast effects. This is from one of the numerous Joe blast effect packs that I have, and you can see that it fits in there very nicely. So it also fits into his hand rather well. The handle is a little big, so you kind of have to slip it in on an angle and then turn it to pop it in like so, but it has a real nice scale to it. Like, it looks solid. It looks like that is the weapon that a figure or a character this size would carry. The only problem is there's no holster for it, which I really wish there was. And I know you wouldn't have the belt on the outside of the coat, but this is kind of why I wished the coat was maybe open, that you could have a holster on the inside of the coat underneath. I don't know, that's just me, but I really wish there would have been a place to holster that. Now, the other piece of equipment that we have that I think is really cool is his lid right here. His cover, his lid, his cap, whatever you want to call it. I think this looks fantastic. I'm afraid to there we go. I love the gold ropes, the gold emblem up top. I think this looks fantastic. You can see they even tried to do the U.S. symbol right there, the eagle in there. I think that looks really cool. I like the shiny black for the brim, the way this holds shape. I think this is a great looking accessory, and it fits him very well. We'll have to see how it fits the other ones. I don't know, does that look too big? those caps were always a little plus size to begin with. So I don't know, does that look too big on him? Tell me what you think. I think it looks decent. Maybe it sits a little too high on his head. Maybe I'm not positioning it correctly, but it does help to complete the look. Something else that we have to complete the look, let me get them out of this baggie here. We have 3 different pairs of sunglasses for our generals. That they're all aviator shades, of course, because why wouldn't they be? Our first set here is gold with black lenses. Our second set here is silver with blue lenses for some reason. I would have loved to have seen just like silver on silver for this, or maybe that's what this is supposed to be, that the blue is like silver reflected. I don't know. And then we have silver with black right here, and these are the ones that I'm probably going to end up using. One thing that I noticed when I was playing with him before I started recording, you can see right here there are little mini divots in his hair just above the ears, and that is for the sunglasses to click into place. Because when we put them on his head and then line them up with his eyes, they just sort of sit in those grooves that the earpieces don't actually come down over the ears. And yeah, they look a little big. And then once you put the lid on, I don't know. I think the shades look a little big for him. Let me know what you think. I'm glad we have them. I think it does add something to the figure, to the character, especially since he doesn't have that many accessories to begin with. But I don't know. Maybe that looks good. Let me know what you think about that. And then finally, of course, we have our Operation Monster Force figure stand, which I do love these figure stands because they look like a tombstone. It has the name General Brown down here, and I kind of wish it didn't because we have 4 different versions. I wish it either just said General or the Sentinels because that's what they are collectively known as, or just blank. I don't know. I may end up cleaning that off since I'm not going to be using it as General Brown, and you'll see who I'm going to be using it for in a moment. But I do love this tombstone look because you can stand it up and use it as like a tombstone diorama. That's going to come in real handy for next Halloween. I really dig these. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at what I feel was one of the big selling points for this figure, and one of the reasons that I think they're hoping that people will be buying multiple versions of this, and that is the 3 other head sculpts we have in addition to General Brown. Now immediately, you're going to recognize some differences between these 3 and that one. We got 1 black dude and 3 white dudes, which is why they gave us this other neck joint right here. Holy cow, that is tight. Okay, so looking at it, that's a deep socket right there. So let's set these down and let's try and get the neck piece off. I was trying to do this before, but now that I take a look at this neck joint, you can see there's a really deep socket right there. There's not much to get a grip on because you saw how easily the head pops off. Can you maybe use this as... No. Okay. I may have to hit this with some heat. Give me a minute. Let me see what I can do here. I don't want to put a wrench on it because I don't want to damage the sculpt. I don't want to damage the ball socket. So like I don't want to put a pair of wrenches on there and try and pull it off. So I'm going to try and heat this up and see if I can just pop it off that way. Because as is, there's not a lot to get a grip on to try and pull a socket that goes that deep. If I have one complaint so far of the figure, it's just that that's a little too much. Okay, after putting some heat on it, I was able to finagle it around. You sort of have to roll it around to get it to work it off. You can see the peg right there. The ball, I think, is a little It's a little too much ball right there, to be completely honest. And the socket, I feel, is a little too deep, that it doesn't want to easily pop out, because we've had other figures from Hasbro specifically that have had interchangeable necks. And I mean, we've seen it even with some of the classified figures, and it just, this didn't work nearly as well as the other ones did. Of course, it could just be because it's new and it needs broken in a bit, but it was a little bit of a pain. So now we're going to try and get this one on there. And yeah, it doesn't want to pop on. Once again, I feel like I'm going to break this thing. I just feel like I'm going to break the stem down there from pushing down on it. Nope. Did that do it? Okay, that got it. You can see it's not an easy fit. But there we go. There is our first head right there. And I'm just going to call it out. That's Thunderbolt Ross. We all know that. So if you're a Marvel Legends collector, did they make a figure of Thunderbolt yet? I'm not sure. That looks really good, though. I do like that. I also like the little bit of, like, black in his hair right there to make the... It doesn't want to focus because it's all... it's so white. But I do like the sort of, like, black wash in there and the hair to make the strands stand out. Those attack eyebrows are fantastic. And look at that fabulous mustache right there. That looks really good. Of course, we have, like I said, that's General Ross. The eyes are really good. Man, those are some intense eyes. But we pop that off and we take a look. Whoop, that one turned. Is this moving? Oh, wow, this neck joint is really stiff as well. That would need some breaking in. Then we pop this one on. Oh, wow, that doesn't want to fit very well. And Joe fans of old, that is General Joe Colton right there, the original G.I. Joe. And it's amazing that we're getting this with Operation Monster Force before we're getting it with the Classified series, because we've had statues, like vinyl statues with Joel Colton on there. The one that I have seen sort of has him in like an orange or brown sweater and like a underslung 1911. That's why I was thinking that like that Gamerverse Nick Fury Punisher 2-pack, that Nick Fury in the orange shirt with the green slacks, this head sculpt would probably look fantastic on that. But I also want to try something else when we're on camera, but not quite yet. But once again, I think that is a fantastic head sculpt. Like, Big Bad Workshop, Fresh Monkey Fiction, whatever you want to call them, is doing a great job with the head portraits. Oh, we got a little bit of a seam right there. I don't know if that's supposed to be a scar. Maybe it is. Is there another one on this side? No, that might be a scar right there. Or just like a really bad paint glob. Not sure. But other than that, like I was saying, they are doing a really good job with the face sculpts. They are doing a really good job with the paint apps on the face sculpts, especially the eyes. Once again, looking forward, really, really well done eyes. And now this is the reason that I bought him this figure. Oh, wow, get on there. Very tight. So, once again, Joe fans of old, you may not recognize this yet, but let us put, where are the silver ones at? Let us put some sunglasses on him. There we go. Let us put his cap on him. And let us put the 1911 in his hand. And that's General Flag. You can't tell me that's not. At least that's why I got this guy. Because I have wanted a General Flag figure for years. I was upset he was never part of the original vintage line. I don't know if we've gotten one over the years, at least this version of General Flag. I know there have been other versions of Flag. I think it's mostly been Flag Junior. But that right there. I always preferred General Flag. By the way, this is who the USS Flag is named after. But I always preferred General Flag over General Hawk. For some reason, I liked Hawk better as a colonel, which I do have. We just haven't taken a look at him yet. And I'm very curious to see if once we get Hawk out of the packaging, if the blonde Hawk head, Colonel Hawk head, will fit on this body, because we have seen Hawk dressed like this in the comics when he was doing basically an inspection of the pit, which also just reminded me this could also be used for General Hollingsworth, who was another 4-star general from the Marvel Real American Hero. I may have to actually buy 2 of these now because I have 2 generals from that. Yeah, that actually, maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe that's why Hollingsworth. Huh. I can't remember if he had a mustache or not. I'm pretty sure he did. By the way, Hollingsworth was the general that Hawk answered to when he was promoted, because General Flag was written out of the series when he was killed by Major Blood during the first attack on the pit. That's inconsequential, though. I always preferred Flag to Hawk. So now, one thing I do want to take another look at is we have this Joe Colton head right here, and I have my General Hawk figure right here. I want to see, let's take these off. Let's pop that head off. I don't think that's going to be the same size. No, that's too loose. But the skin tone, yeah, the skin tone's different. The neck is definitely a little bit lighter, but I could make that work. Maybe if I put some blue tack on there. And then I could have Colton dressed up like this, with General Flag like that, and then get another one of these, and I have General Hollingsworth here. And then I would have Colonel Hawk once I have the missile system open. While we have this, let's also try this out. Excuse me, General. Let's take off that. Let's pop that off. So if that doesn't fit, I doubt this is going to fit. No, you would have to Dremel this out, which makes me wonder how big the ball joint is going to be for Colonel Hawk. But yeah, that sits up too high, but like if we sunk that down a little lower, once again, the skin tone is off though, and it's more noticeable this way, I feel, than it is this way. I may get some blue tack and just like make this Joe. Does the helmet fit? Oh, I might be onto something here. I may be doing that. Okay, so General Flag, Ross, and Colton all have the same set of hands that General Brown has. Only difference is the skin tone. The sculpt, the articulation, meaning the hinge point, they're all the same. So I'm not going to go through and make you watch those again. But one thing I do want to show you and draw attention to, and this is really small, so give me a moment. We have these stickers right here, and like I said, the nameplate on the General's jacket is blank. That's because we do have these decals here with Brown, Storm, which I'm guessing is Thunderbolt, Clark, which I'm guessing is Colton, and Frost, which I'm guessing is Flag, because they can't call them, you know, Thunderbolt, Ross, Colton, and Flag for reasons. But we have these decals right here that if you wanted to put names on them, you could. I'm going to leave mine blank because obviously I'm not using this for Brown, Storm, Clark, and Frost. But they do come with the set, with the figure, if you would want to use these. Like I said, mine's going to be Colton, Flag, and now Hollingsworth, which means I have to get another one of these figures. And now for size comparison, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Major Blood and Jinx. Here he is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Taskmaster and Psylocke. Here he is beside Valaverse Action Force Bone Collector version 2 and Pandora. Here he is beside Nacelle Toys Sectars Warriors of Symbion, Dargon and Stellara. Here he is beside Mattel Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, Masters of the Universe Movie, Blade and Evil Lyn. Here he is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke and Strongheart. And some people may ask why I keep showing off the NECA D&D figures. It's because Warduke is too awesome a figure not to show off every chance I get. And now seen for the first time, here he is beside Shooter and me from the G.I. Joe Night Force. The arm and wrist sockets are too loose, the neck joint is too tight, the hat I think is too big, the sunglasses look a little wonky, they're a little too thick, and there's no place to holster the pistol. Having said all of that, believe it or not, I do like this figure, but this is mainly a me thing. You have to understand that growing up with the Marvel G.I. Joe Real American Hero comics, and that being my personal primary continuity, not the Sunbow series, finally being able to get my hands on a General Flag figure means everything to me. Absolutely everything. And now that I think about it and I can get another one of these to have a General Hollingsworth to go along with it, plus General Colton, this is like figures that I didn't think I was ever going to get. And I certainly don't think we're going to be getting any of these from Hasbro. Colton, I don't understand for the life of me. I really thought for the G.I. Joe anniversary, they would have brought out a classified Colton figure. Or at least when they were doing their Action Legacy line. I don't understand what the holdup is for that. But finally getting a flag, now also being able to have a Hollingsworth, it means the world to me. Now, having said all of that, I don't know if this is a figure that would appeal to everybody that's even diving in on Monster Force, because it is a very vanilla figure, especially compared to those other Monster Force figures, those other Monster Force characters. And when you consider this is a $40 figure, this isn't something that you just pick up on a whim. I got him because, as I've said before, I really wanted General Flag. And now I have him, and I'm very happy about that. But I can see some people, even being the people that are collecting Monster Force who aren't going all in, passing on this one. Having the pistol is cool. Having the pistol that you can put blast effects in is cool. Not having a place to holster it is a little frustrating, because that's one more piece that can get lost. The sunglasses are the same way. We have 3 different sets of sunglasses, and I feel like those were just designed for the idea of, we have 4 generals, 3 of them are going to wear sunglasses. 1 pair is probably for General Brown, 1 pair is for General Flag, 1 pair is for General Ross. Colton doesn't wear them. So that was probably their thought process behind that. I do like having the multiple heads. I do like that it's sort of like a one-size-fits-all, because honestly there would be no point to come up with 3 different figures or 4 different figures for this, because they are pretty much all the same. That if you don't necessarily need all of the figures, you don't have to army build this. I'm going to be a little crazy and probably get another one, like I said, so I can have Flag and Hollingsworth and then have Colton on Hawk's body. I'm really curious if once we get Colonel Hawk open, if that blonde head sculpt will fit on this figure, because in the comic, I don't think they ever made him a brunette like he is for the General Hawk figure. I think that was just Sunbow. I think when they made General Hawk into a general, that they made him a brunette because Colonel Hawk looked a little too much like Duke. But back to General Brown here. I think he looks great on top of everything else. The paint apps are spot on, flawless. I think that looks great. The sculpt, there's not much to speak of for the sculpt, but that's the way this figure would need to be. All of the face portraits are phenomenal. They are spot on. The face portraits, the paint apps on the face portraits, the eyes on the face portraits, I think they're all fantastic. Let me know what you think. Are you going to pick this up to add to G.I. Joe? If you collect Operation Monster Force, is this a must-have? What do you think of this? I'm very curious to hear what the Operation Monster Force collectors think of this, because he is a bit of the odd one out in that line of oddballs. Well, look who made it to the end, and if you made it this far, obviously you liked what you were watching, so why don't you go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you already are a subscriber, you're a legend, and I love you for it. At this point in the video, this is usually where I would promote channel memberships or subscriptions through our Ko-fi page. However, for the fall fundraiser, it's not about me, it's all about the kids. Keep in mind, we are raising funds for Toys for Tots, and any donation would be greatly appreciated as we strive to reach our goal. For more information on that, click the link for the Ko-fi page right here where you can see our fall fundraiser video and donate if you have the means. Until next time, everybody, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.